everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. In today's tutorial, we're going to talk all about the Siser metallic puff and how to cut it and press it correctly. And we're going to make this really fun shirt, this class of 2026 shirt. It is almost graduation time, and this would be a really fun addition to give to a upcoming graduate. And it's really easy to do. The puff comes in a ton of great colors, and I'll link it down below so that you can make sure to grab some yourself. But it's a really fun product, and people are a little bit afraid of puff, but I promise once you know how to do it the right way and know how to treat it with a little bit of respect, you're gonna love using puff just as much as I do. Now, keeping in mind that when you do puff, you don't want it to look like brains or like wiggly worms. It should look smooth and elevated over the rest of your HTV. We're going to be using some Siser Easy Weed with this as well, so I can't wait to get started and show you everything. Before we get started though, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. I'd love to have you as part of my crafty family. Without further ado, let's get started.
Here in Cricut Design Space, the first thing that you're going to do is click New Project, and I want you to make sure that you choose Blank Canvas. Choosing Blank Canvas just allows us to have more space to work with, not working with any kind of small templates. Now we do need to upload our design, which I have downloaded, and I'll link the design that we're using down below. I'm going to click Upload, and then I'm going to choose Upload Image, and I will browse for my design. I have it saved in my Cricut files under graduation, and it is this one right here, Class of 2026 SVG. Now there are two of the SVGs because they're two separate designs. So we'll start with one and we'll just upload that. Now it's going to look a little bit crazy right now because part of our SVG is actually white, so it won't look like there's anything here, but I promise there is. I'm going to go ahead and click Continue, and you can see it a little bit here, but just note there really is a design there. I'm not sure why they chose white, but normally if I design an SVG, I do choose black just so it shows up on the screen. Then I'm going to click Upload, and it's going to put it right into our Cricut Design Space canvas. Now I'm going to upload the other section, which by just clicking Upload, Upload Image, Browse, and then I'm going to choose number 2. And that's going to be our second set. Again, the text is white, so just ignore that. It is there. Go ahead and click Upload. Now you can see our text and our designs here. Now I'll resize them a little bit just so you can see them better, but we'll fix them so that they'll actually fit on the shirt once we are done kind of playing with them, but I want you to see the designs. Now, before I do anything else, I just want to show you what happens if I hit Make right now so that you understand why we're doing what we're doing. Now you'll see what you have here is an enormous mess of lines, a random black dot, and all of these jumbled up letters. So let me show you how to fix that, because I think that's like a major issue that a lot of people run into, especially when they're getting a design like this that looks like it's ready to go. You're going to notice that over on your layers panel, you have two groups. One group is we'll call this the back shirt, and we'll call this the front shirt. So you'll notice that those two groups here are, separate, but if you open up your group, you're going to notice that you still have multiple groups within that group. You're going to undo all of them by just sort of hitting that down arrow, and that is going to show you all of these little pieces that you have here, and it looks kind of insane. First off, I want to show you, here's this random black dot. You can just hide that using the little eyeball. That's clearly just like a mistake within the design. You can leave some feedback for the designer or just get rid of it yourself, whatever you're most comfortable with, but I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it myself. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go to this main group, and I want to ungroup this, and I'm going to use these two squares right up here to ungroup. Now we've ungrouped it to two separate groups, and I know that that sounds kind of crazy, but that's the way this person has this set up. Definitely not the way I would set it up, but I'm going to show you how to fix it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup this larger group down here, the one that has some of these red pieces in it, and I'm just going to choose again this ungroup option. Now, one way that I like to do this is, since there's not a lot of red pieces, I'm going to grab all the red pieces by holding Shift on my keyboard, and I'm going to scroll down and find that last piece of red. And you'll see I have 4 red pieces selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to the attach option, and I'm going to attach them. Now, what's going to make this much easier, and the way that we're doing this, is because now I can hide all of the red parts, and I can simply get all of the white ones attached. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup these pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a square around all those white parts that are part of the design, and I'm going to attach them. Now, you can absolutely help yourself by renaming these. If you right click on them, you can rename layer, and I'm going to call this white back because that's the white back of the shirt. And then we can bring this back in, and now you've got that full design. So then we can rename this layer to red back, since that's going to be the back of the shirt. I'll scooch this one out of the way just so that we can start working with this one next, because this one is also in that similar messed up group category here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, again, use that down arrow, and I'm going to ungroup this. Now, again, you'll see that we have many different pieces. We've got quite a bit going on here. And then here is another group of random pieces. So again, just make sure that you get all of the items ungrouped. And it's easy to tell once everything's ungrouped because you don't have any more down arrows. So again, I'm going to select everything that is red. So all of the red numbers and little pieces. And we're going to just go ahead and attach. Then we're going to simply hide those to make it easier, and select everything that's left that's white and attach. Now, again, you can change the color if it's easier for you to visualize. So like I like to just make it black just so it's easier to see those layers. So again, we can make this one black as well. That way you can really see what colors you're working with. And again, you can easily change the names of these. So you can rename these. This can be, we can just call this red front. And then we can rename this one to black back, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but that way you kind of know which pieces you're clicking on. It just makes it easier. And you can honestly just delete that layer because we obviously are not going to cut that little tiny black spot that's on here. So now I'm not going to size these right now. I just want to show you what happens when you click make, and you'll see that everything now is held in place. So you have the correct look for everything, and it's going to be way easier for you to put it together. So that's just a quick little thing that you might have to do if you download a certain like design or SVG. Now we are going to resize these so that they fit on to our shirts. So for this one, this is going to go on the front of the shirt, I think. Now you could do this on the back if you wanted to. Whatever you want to do, you could do it down a pair of pants, tote bag. You could make this into a ribbon, whatever you want to do with it. But I think for this, I'm going to do a front and back design so that you can see how easy this really truly is. So at 8, almost 9 inches, that's a pretty decent size for like the front of a shirt design, because you don't want it to be like huge. And it also depends on the size of the person. So if you're putting this on a really petite girl, you may not want to go any more than like 6 inches if she's really small. And if you're putting this on a bigger football player type guy, you might want to go closer to like 10 or 11 inches. Just really depends on the size of your shirt. But I think for the shirt I'm doing, 8.8 inches long is fine. Now this one's going to go on the back of the shirt, so this one will need to be quite a bit bigger. I like to do the backs of my shirts anywhere up to like 9.5 to 10 inches, just because that way you can really like fill out that space. But again, think about the size of the shirt you're using and the person that it's going to. That way you can really kind of figure out your sizing. Once you have your sizing set, what you're going to do is click save, because you want to make sure that you save your design. And I'm just going to call this grad shirt and click save. Now we're going to be using 2 different types of HTV for this, because I really want to use some of that puff, because you guys do seem to struggle with puff. That's one of the main things that I see you guys complain about, is working with Puff HTV. So we're going to use some really fun metallic puff with this, and I'm going to show you some really easy ways to work with it, because it is honestly super simple. The black, I'm just going to use some Siser Easy Weed or Starcraft Soft Flex, whatever I've got, but I'm going to do some team colors, so I might not use black. We'll kind of see what we've got downstairs. But when we hit make now, you'll see everything's going to be sized correctly. But I want to point out that this is going to take a little bit more vinyl. but I do think I could technically maybe fit this onto this page, just maybe. So if you think you can fit it, all you need to do is click on these three dots, click move object, and then click on the mat that you want to move it to and click confirm. I really do think that this could potentially fit. I just need to play with it a little bit and see if I can squeeze it in there. It might not fit just because of the O and the S, but because I think it might go over the senior a little bit too much. So if you really do want to fit it, because I really don't want to waste vinyl, I'm going to make mine just a little bit smaller. Again, making sure that I choose both layers. I didn't. And if that happens, just click undo. And you might have to click undo twice because sometimes it's a little weird. Grab both layers, and I'm just going to make these just a touch smaller just so that they'll fit on the same page. I'm not really that concerned, but since this isn't something that's going to anybody, I just want to make sure that I'm not going to like take up a lot of material. Now, again, I can definitely fit this on here now. So I'm going to right click, move object, put it over here and click confirm. Now I should be able to fit this pretty much no problem over here. You can see that it fits just fine in that corner. Keep in mind though, when you cut HTV, you're needing to mirror it. So you may want to mirror that design and just reset everything so that everything is gonna fit correctly. And then you'll wanna do that over here where you mirror your design. Now everything should fit just fine. This one's already set to fit together. Now, when I click continue, it's going to ask me to choose my setting. Now, it has been having some trouble connecting to my maker for some reason. So sometimes I have to redo it a couple times, but I cut both of these products on the everyday iron-on setting, and it usually will automatically mirror it for you. But I wanted to show you this since we did edit the mat, that mirroring it yourself is usually better if you've moved things around on your mat.
We're going to load our HTV, and you always want to load it with the carrier sheet side down, and if you ever need to know which side that is, just peel back a little corner, and whatever side is the clear sticky side is going to be your carrier sheet. Now I'm kind of doing like a dark purple, and then I'm going to do the metallic puff in this gold color because we do have a school around us that is purple and gold, so I'll be able to pass the shirt on to somebody because I hate to like waste it.
While we watch this cut out our vinyl, I want to kind of go over just a quick little tip trick for your puff. When you're looking at designs, you want to avoid things that have really, really thin lines. So the part that I'm cutting here in this dark color, I would not recommend for puff because the lines are super thin and close together. And as it puffs, it's going to make your design look really, really bad. You're not either going to read it or it's just going to look really weird. So you want to use things that are much thicker, that don't have a lot of detail. So fatter fonts, fatter images that don't have a lot of like small inner pieces. It is so important to just choose the right design. Also, make sure that you are not using a handheld press. It's not recommended for puff, and you're not going to get the best version of your design that you want with a handheld press, meaning mini press, easy press, all of that. It's best to use an actual heat press like the one that I have, and I'll link everything that we're using in the video down below. That way you can find all of the stuff that I recommend for doing this. Puff needs to also be only the top layer when you are layering.
We're going to be doing this on a white shirt because I think that will look really nice. Now we are going to press the purple first, so I need to move the gold off of there because you can only press one at a time. And then you need to decide kind of where you want your design to go, whether you want it on the side, whether you want it wherever you want it to go. For this one, I'm going to do it kind of towards the side over here. Might move it a little further in. If I put it too far this way, it ends up like on the side of the shirt. So you want to kind of think about where the collar is going to sit and then line it up with about the edge of the collar. I like to put like the center of my design to the edge of the collar right here. And then just like the same 3 fingers down, that should be pretty good there. Now, we are going to press all of this purpley blue first. Now, I will say it looks purple in some light and blue in others. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like when we actually like press this, because this is, it looks blue against the white shirt too. I'm not sure what it looks like on camera. So I'm gonna press the front first. I'm just gonna press the Easy Weed first, and then I'll flip it over and do the back, and then we'll press the puff. Now this presses at about 315, typically for like 10 to 15 seconds, but because we're layering, we're just gonna press this really quickly for just a few seconds to tack it down. Then when we come in with the puff is pressed at 280 degrees for 8 to 10 seconds with a medium pressure, and that only gets pressed once. So that'll finish the press on this, so I wouldn't worry too much, but I'll get this set onto the press. We're gonna let that heat up, and then we're gonna get everything pressed together. Our pressing is up to temperature. So like I said, when we press this, we're just gonna press this for a few seconds, and that's just gonna be enough to tack it down because you don't want it to shrink. If it shrinks, then your HTV that you need to fit on inside of the numbers isn't gonna fit, and we definitely don't want that to happen. So I've pressed the front one, and I'm gonna flip this over, and I'm gonna press the back design next. Now I'm just gonna line this up while it's on my heat press. What you'll see here, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that the collar is off of my pressing pillow, and I do have a line down the center of the back of my shirt that will help me center this. And the center of this design is literally just the center of the numbers. And for this, you do want to get it like where you can see the seam. I go about 2 fingers down from the front seam of the collar. Get that centered and straight. And again, we only press this for a couple of seconds. Literally, I'm doing like 3-second press. And then you can go ahead and lift. And this is a warm peel, so you do want to take the carrier sheet off right away. Now, I do need to turn the heat down on my heat press because the puff only presses at 280 degrees. So I'm going to go ahead, turn this down, let this cool for a bit, and then we can press the next section. My heat press has cooled down, so I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to start with the back one. I'm going to get that dog hair out of the way. I'm going to start with the back, and I just want to make sure I get this centered where I want it. Now, when I'm using puff, I want to make sure that I do have kind of a wide area around that design, which I do, which is why I chose this design. So I'm going to go ahead and press this. You do want a medium pressure, and you press this for 8 to 10 seconds. Now, it's really important that you don't overpress this, because if you do, it's not going to do what you want it to do, which is, of course, puff. So once we do that, we pull this off, and then you pull off your carrier sheet. Now you want to peel this off right away because this is a warm peel product, and as you peel it, you'll see that it'll start to puff up, but it'll puff up a little bit more as it cools. Now we have to do that front section as well, and I'm going to show you a trick to that, but I'm going to let this cool off a little bit before I do that. Now I want to do the front section, but I'm going to make it so that this back part isn't on my press. So I'm literally just going to take and place this front section of my shirt onto my press at an angle, just so that that back piece isn't in the way. Now I do have a sleeve that's causing a little bit of wrinkling. So here's another trick you can do. If it's being a little pain with that sleeve, the sleeve can go under the press if it needs to. I'm just trying to make sure that this back piece isn't under the press anywhere, because that could damage some of that puff from your previous press. And then I just want to make sure that it's as smooth as possible under the word, like under the numbers, because this is where we're pressing, is right here. Now I can feel that part of it's not quite on the pressing pillow, so I'm just going to pull it forward. And again, you're just going to layer this on so that it matches up. Now you'll notice again, I don't have my whole shirt on here because I want to make sure that that back piece doesn't get messed up. I'm going to get that lined up. And you can take your time here. You don't need to rush. Like, that's really terrible. I'm going to fix that because that was really bad. Also, if you're having trouble getting the whole thing to line up, you can always trim it down to individual numbers. Sometimes that can help too. A little piece of dog hair. I've got lots of dog hair around. All right, once I've got that on, again, making sure everything's under the pressing pillow, I'm going to go ahead and press this again for that 10 seconds with the medium pressure at 280 degrees. And then we're going to peel this warm, because, or hot as it may be, because that's what it wants us to do. And again, it's not going to look puffy right when you pull this off, but I promise you when you pull that carrier sheet off, it is going to puff up. Now here's the key thing when working with your puff. Now I did move this because I wanted to make sure that I didn't press the front section of the shirt, but you do need to press this twice. Again, medium pressure, and you're gonna press it again for that 8 to 10 seconds at that 280 degrees. Again, you wanna use medium pressure. If you overpress it, it's not gonna puff, so that can cause some issues. Now I do have my timer set a little bit higher than 8 to 10 seconds so that it doesn't beep. But once you do that, you're gonna get this really, really nice puff on your shirt. Now I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm going to make sure the back part's not on the press, and I'm going to press the 2026. Now I've got that on my pressing pillow. I just want to make sure everything's kind of laying flat, and we're going to go ahead and again press this for the second press. It's important that you do that second press so you make sure that you get the right amount of puff from your shirt. Now I've got you zoomed in here so that you can see it puff a little bit, hopefully, but I've got it pressed, and now it's going to have a really, really good puff to it. I'm going to let this cool off, and I'm going to show you what this looks like, but just remember, don't wash your puff for 24 hours.
This came out so great, and I hope that you picked up some tips and tricks to working with puff. So remember, you want to use medium pressure, 280 degrees, and you want to make sure that you are pressing for about 8 to 10 seconds. It is really highly recommended not to use an easy press with this because you do need super even pressure and heat in order for your puff to truly become what it needs to become. It came out so beautiful. This gold metallic is so pretty. Now, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.